In this small video, I am going to explain the provisions and circumstances leads to the passing of the Government of India Act 1990. Popularly, it was known as Montagu-Chelmsford reforms, because Montagu was the Secretary of State and Chelmsford was the Governor General or Viceroy of India at that time. Why the British Parliament passed such an act in the year 1990? This is mainly because of the end of First World War. And this act was a reward for the Indians for their meritorious services during the First World War. After the end of the First World War, the British decided to hand over some power to the Indian hands. That was clearly mentioned in the year 1970 by the Secretary of State Montagu. In his declaration, he stated that the policy of His Majesty's government, that is British government, is that of the increasing association of Indians in every branch of the administration and the gradual development of self-governing institutions with a view to the progressive realization of responsible government in India as an integral part of the British Empire. This is the declaration made by Montagu in the year 1917 on August 20th. This is popularly known as the August Declaration. During the course of the First World War, under the leadership of Bala Gangadhar Tilak and Andy Besant, started a movement that was a Home Rule movement. The aim of the movement was to propagate the importance of Home Rule and demand Home Rule or self-government for the Indians after the war. So, the British Parliament decided to pass an act which hand over some power to the Indian hands. This act got royal support or royal assent in the year 1990. When it got the royal assent, it became an act, and the British government decided to implement this act in India. Myself already mentioned that the Indians were expecting a suitable reward from the British because of their meritorious services in the First World War. The Indian National Congress and the nationalists supported the British in this war because the British boasted that they were fighting against fascism. They were fighting for this war in order to safeguard the interest of democracy and to maintain democratic principles in this world. So naturally, the Indians expected such a type of democratic rights to the Indians. So the Government of India Act 1919 passed in such a situation or environment. Now let us go through the provisions of this act. This act has two parts. One is a provincial part and the second one is the central part. The central part, this act supported or provides a bicameral legislative system at the center. Bicameral. Two chambers assembly. The upper house was called Council of State and the lower house was known as Legislative Assembly. Council of State or upper house constitute 60 members. Out of these 60 members, 33 members were elected members and 27 members were nominated by the Governor General. And in the lower house, that is Legislative Assembly, the total number of members were 145. Among these 145, 104 members were elected members. The term of the Council of State is 5 years and the term of the House Legislative Assembly, that was 3 years. Central Assembly, which makes laws for all over the country, and this law needs the sanction of the Governor General. These are the central part of this law or the act. The provincial part is sometimes more important than the central part or the union part. According to this act, the province got self-governing institutions a little bit. It was done by this act through a system of administration. That is what is called diarchy. So diarchy or double government was introduced in the province. In order to implement double government in the province, the entire administrative subjects or departments or portfolios divided into two groups. One is the reserved subject and the second one is transfer subject. Reserved subjects includes law, finance, army, police, revenue, irrigation, electricity. And the transfer subjects include such as education, public health, agriculture, local self-government, industry, excise, fisheries, etc. That means the entire administrative subjects or departments were divided into two groups. Number one is reserved subjects. These are the very important subjects. And second one is transfer subjects. And the reserved subjects were administered by Governor General with the support and help of his Executive Council. That is, the reserved subjects are distributed among the executive council of the governor, and the transfer subjects were administered by the ministers, and they were elected members, means legislative members. This is the system introduced by this act according to diarchy or double government. And the transfer subjects were administered by the legislative assembly responsible ministers. These ministers were responsible to the legislative assembly. The reserve subjects were administered by the ministers belongs to the governor's executive council. They were not responsible to the legislative assembly. And again, the size of the provincial legislature was enlarged. 70% of the members were elected and 30% members were nominated. The power of the secretary of the state with regard to the transfer subjects were minimized. The separate electorate system was maintained. So these are the provisions related to the Government of India Act 1990. And according to this act, elections were held in the year 1923, and Swaraj Party contested election, and it played a prominent role in the provincial assemblies. Anyway,